And the only thing that wokeness has to offer in exchange is to brainwash bright young minds like you to believe that you are victims, to believe that you have no agency, to believe that what you must do to improve the world is to complain, is to protest, is to throw soup on paintings.
Wokeness has become a buzzword in modern discourse, often sparking heated debates. Initially rooted in raising awareness about social and racial injustices, the concept has evolved into something that many argue is counterproductive. British author and satirist Konstantin Kisin has emerged as a prominent voice in this discussion, delivering a fierce critique of contemporary wokeness. We explore Kisin's insights, examining how wokeness has transformed from a noble cause into a culture that thrives on victimhood and outrage.
But it was initially used by people, particularly kind of Black Lives Matter and racial activists in America, about themselves. And what they were saying is, we are awakened to certain realizations. Realizations like what they call intersectionality, which is the idea that, different racial and other groups in society are treated differently. And we're now awake to this. That's what wokeness meant. And now we are aware of these systemic forces that are disadvantaging certain groups.
The evolution of wokeness. Wokeness began with good intentions, aiming to bring attention to systemic injustices and inequalities. It was a rallying cry for those fighting against oppression, particularly within the Black Lives Matter movement and other racial activism. However, Kisin argues that this noble fight has devolved into a culture where victimhood is celebrated and promoted. Initially, the term woke signified an awareness of social issues and the recognition of intersectionality, the understanding that different identities face various forms of discrimination. Yet, as Kisin points out, wokeness has shifted dramatically. What started as an awakening to inequality morphed into a competition for oppression points, where individuals and groups vie for moral authority based on their perceived victim status. The Victimhood Olympics. Kisin coins the term Victimhood Olympics to describe the current state of wokeness.
But if you're asking me what woke culture really is, it's a combination of things. First and foremost, it's the promotion and celebration of victimhood.
In this environment, success is often viewed with suspicion, and those who thrive are perceived as having stepped on others to get there. This mentality not only fosters resentment but also distracts from addressing real societal issues. As Kisin articulates, there is a strange hierarchy of oppression where individuals with more oppression points demand greater respect and sensitivity. This creates an environment where people are more focused on being offended than on engaging in meaningful dialogue. The result? A culture where everyone is walking on eggshells, afraid to express their true thoughts for fear of being labeled insensitive or problematic. Cancel culture and its implications. Cancel culture has become intertwined with wokeness, serving as a tool for silencing dissent. Kisin critiques this phenomenon, suggesting that if woke ideas were robust, they would withstand scrutiny. Instead, the reliance on canceling those who disagree indicates a fundamental weakness in these ideologies. For many, participating in the cancel culture offers a sense of purpose, especially for those who may feel a lack of meaning in their own lives. Engaging in online outrage can be a way to gain significance, albeit in a toxic manner. This dynamic raises important questions about the nature of discourse in society and the dangers of shutting down opposing viewpoints. A call for truth and action. So, what's the antidote to this pervasive culture of victimhood? Kisin proposes a straightforward solution: the truth. He emphasizes the need for young people to hear messages that empower them rather than perpetuate narratives of oppression. Real change, according to Kisin, comes from action and engagement, not from remaining in a state of perpetual outrage. His message resonates particularly with younger audiences, many of whom are eager for guidance on how to navigate this complex social landscape. After his speech at the Oxford Union, Kisin found that even those who initially disagreed with him were compelled to reconsider their perspectives. This ability to provoke thought and reflection is crucial in a time when dialogue seems increasingly polarized. Lessons from a Soviet immigrant. Coming from the Soviet Union, Kisin has a unique perspective on the value of freedom and the dangers of self-sabotage. He expresses disbelief at how people in Western societies, which enjoy significant freedoms, often engage in self-destructive narratives that undermine their own countries. While children in China and Russia are being taught to be strong and competitive, Kisin warns that the West risks falling behind by focusing on internal divisions and grievances. But This perspective challenges us to reflect on the implications of our current cultural discourse. If young people are taught to view their countries as the enemy, what happens when they grow up? Kisin's critique encourages a re-evaluation of the narratives we promote and the values we instill in the next generation. Moving forward, embracing strength and resilience. Ultimately, Kisin argues that wokeness, in its current form, does more harm than good. It stifles open dialogue, fosters a culture of victimhood, and instills resentment rather than pride. Instead of focusing on grievances, Kisin advocates for a shift towards resilience, agency, and constructive solutions. Imagine a world where young people are encouraged to take action, embrace their strengths, and work towards meaningful change. By redirecting our focus from finger-pointing to problem-solving, we can create a more positive and productive discourse. Inclusion, a path to dialogue and understanding. Kisin's insights into wokeness challenge us to reconsider how we engage with social issues. By promoting a culture of truth and action rather than victimhood, we can foster a more inclusive and constructive atmosphere for dialogue. The question remains, will we heed this call for change, or continue down the path of division and outrage? As we navigate these complex conversations, it's essential to engage thoughtfully and critically. What are your thoughts on Kisin's critique of wokeness? How can we move towards a more constructive discourse? Share your perspectives in the comments below.
The only way you can defend them is by shutting down people who don't agree with you, because if you have a reasonable, rational argument, their views crumble like a house of cards, because they're not built on anything. They're built on fallacious logic and just assertions without any basis and